just talk about the fact that this game has been in development prior to E3 when they announced it in 2015. Let's just lay that out and let's just understand that, because in order to have that type of trailer along with a follow-up after E3 of gameplay, whether or not that gameplay is scrapped, means that they have been working on it for some time. That's the first point I want to make, but it gets better as we go on. CyberConnect 2 was the company involved in aiding and basically creating most of the assets of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, while Square Enix was working on the other titles like Tomb Raider, Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, with that being said, Square Enix actually fired CyberConnect 2 from working on this project. But all the visuals that we saw from E3 and even the gameplay was done by CyberConnect, which means that Square Enix wasn't really happy with their work, although I found it to look pretty good. They want to take it in-house. From that moment, they hired Hamaguchi to be the co-director of this game. The reason I believe they have him working as co-director is because they have a plan to release this game soon, and he's a very talented person within the company. Hamaguchi is responsible for being the visual effects real-time renderer for Final Fantasy XII. He was also involved in Final Fantasy XIII, being the lead event programmer and the Crystal Tools development staff member. Managing the Crystal Tools development staff, I mean. He's also worked on Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy XIII-2, being the lead application programmer. He was the main programmer in Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns. He was the project leader of Mobius Final Fantasy, and now he's the development leader and the co-director of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. So he has a history of getting things done, and he clearly knows what he's doing, and they pulled him in for that specific reason. If they didn't have any plans of this game coming out this year, they wouldn't need to rush him in to aid the others. Keep in mind that Sony isn't even showing up to E3 this year, so that is proof in and of itself that PS5 is coming out next year. It'll be shown at the next E3, not this E3. A lot of people are concerned about if they were to come out in 2020 or, right before 2020 in the winter, fall of 2019, how would that happen if the PS5 is probably going to be releasing in 2021? Wouldn't it make sense for it to come out as a PS5 release title? But I can tell you right now why that would actually make no sense. Because number one, Square Enix released this information to everybody saying that it would be a play it first on the PlayStation 4, meaning that they want it for PC and they want it for Xbox as well. Why wouldn't they? Of course they want to make more money. If it were to be a release title on the PS5, that would mean that this game would have to be exclusive, or exclusive enough to the point that it would have to be bundled with the console, and it would have to be like an exclusive type of thing. If they want to sell it on multiple platforms, it would be weird for it to be a release title. With that being said, if it's going to be a release title on a console, and they don't want it to be released with the console because they want to sell it on multiple consoles, then they would have to wait even longer for this game to come out, at least another 6 months, at the very least, probably like a year or so, before they can just release it normal across all platforms. But what I'm trying to get at is, since the PS5 specs have been released, the specs are basically stating it's confirmed that the PS5 will be backwards compatible to at least the PS4. With that being said, that would mean that if this game came out in 2019, it wouldn't matter at all, because it wouldn't affect the PS5 sales. You'd be able to buy the game, play it on your PS4, trophies and data will just transfer right onto your PS5, and that will be that. And according to the specs that I've looked up on the PS5, and it is probably how all the next-gen consoles are going to be, we've reached kind of like a graphical cap, and the major thing right now is ray tracing. If you don't know what ray tracing is just a way to to display reflections and shadows in a realistic way where it mathematically pinpoints all of these calculations off of the geometry in the environment, instead of just making it look like it's a reflection. It actually is a reflection. But it's not the biggest deal because you can fake these types of things, and they've been doing it for years, but it is a step up. And what I'm trying to say is, it's not going to be the graphical difference of a PS1 to a PS2 or a PS2 to a PS3, or even a PS3 to a PS4, but if you notice as the time goes on, those graphical updates tend to shrink as time goes on, because we're kind of reaching a cap. So for this game to come out on the PS4 and the PS5 is going to be a backwards compatible system would make perfect sense. Also keep in mind, there's not that many games coming out for the PS4, so there needs to be some serious bangers coming out. We know that The Last of Us 2 is probably coming out, and we know that Death Stranding is probably coming out. That's Hideo Kojima's game. But what better way to end the life cycle of a console than to also have the Final Fantasy VII Remake? And also keep in mind that this game is supposed to be brought across multiple parts. So if it's coming in parts, part 1 has to drop soon. It is going to drop soon. This game is coming out on the PS4 and the PS5. All they need to do is patch it, maybe give it a slight HD, enhancement. This is coming out. Let's go on to the next clue. This is probably one of the biggest clues, but it's brief. There's really not much to say, but it's definitely one of the biggest clues this tied with the next one, and then that's the end of the video. But these last 2 clues are pretty much the craziest thing that point towards this release date, in my opinion. But this one is that their fiscal year projected income is just so high in comparison to probably, I think, like the last 6 years, maybe even longer than that. And you could see this on Square Enix's actual website and see their graphs, and they stated this. They just don't want to really. They still didn't say what it is. I think they've actually said that they're going to be releasing multiple AAA titles, but they won't say what titles they are. But if you're following what's been going on and following this video, we know that Tomb Raider came out, and we know that Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. Those are their 2 biggest games. And for a projection to be this high, for the, fiscal year of 2020 to be as high as it is, with this game in the works, what could it be? We do know that there's the Avengers, but the amount of money that they're talking about is definitely not enough just for the Avengers game alone, and they seem to be making a big deal about this, so that's almost a guarantee, hint. But, let's talk about this concert now. In case you haven't noticed or heard about this, because this is new news, there's actually going to be a Final Fantasy VII orchestral concert that is going to be taking place the day before E3 in Los Angeles, California. Only Final Fantasy VII music. The entire concert is based on Final Fantasy VII. Even the songs that aren't in the forefront of our memory, every song is going to be at this concert, and only a Final Fantasy VII the day before E3. I know I said it before, I'm saying it again. The day before E3. Do you know what other concert Square Enix had before E3? It wasn't the day before, it was about a week before. It was Kingdom Hearts 3 orchestral concert in LA a week before E3, and they announced and showed gameplay footage of Kingdom Hearts 3 before E3, the week before. Now I see a pattern here, it's kind of obvious. If they're throwing a Final Fantasy VII concert the day before E3 in Los Angeles, E3 is also in California, I would pretty much say it's pretty safe to say that's a lead up to the announcement of the release date of Part 1 of Final Fantasy VII. But I want to end my video off with one of the most ridiculous videos of the original people involved in making Final Fantasy VII, including the musical composer and both directors. And they were asked about this concert months before there was a date set. You know, months and months and months before, maybe even a year. I don't know the exact date, but I'm going to show you the clip. But I'm going to show you a video of when they were talking about this concert, and basically a joke that was said that was bleeped out. If you've seen this before, you can just turn the video off, but if you haven't, watch the end of this video, think about the things I told you, and just get ready to save your money, because this game is coming out, and put it on reserve soon, because I'll hold my words accountable, and I can look like an idiot, and I won't even delete this video off of YouTube if I'm wrong. That's how confident I am that we're getting a release date, or we're definitely getting major news this E3 of
そしてですね、今回のブラブラはその FF7 の楽曲縛りということなんですけど、こちらについては、はい。
いきさつはどういういきさつだったんですか、セブン縛り。今年。
それどっかの公園で言ったのがね、ネットニュースにね、動画で出したらもったいなくなっちゃう。
まあ今現在セブンリメイクを作ってるからぐらいの感じですか。そういうことですかね。
それの我々の士気を上げるためにね。